There's one live where I heard you say one of your initial classes, one of the first classes you had, you noticed that it was predominantly non-Black women who were going in there studying Black men.
I started teaching a Black male course because it was needed.
We're gonna let him finish this off. It's just that the thing is that women are brought up as little girls, daddy's little princess. Even if you don't have a father around, you're brought up in a diluted sense of reality your entire life. We would defer to our nephew and niece, and remember, they're a year apart. And they're 6-7 years behind us. And we watched them both get coddled, adorned, and just babied, and everything was great until our nephew stopped. He was like 6. They started to pull the throttle back on it, and it started being real telling, to where our niece was infallible and our nephew was met with this microscope of scrutiny, to where he was going to always be the lowest common denominator. And this isn't a unique story, because it's our story too. We watched our neighbor, his mom was,
why can't you be like your sister?
A time too many, and he broke down and was like,
yo, that's why she's like everybody though.
Because her secrets were kept until then, because his sister was condescending. But the meat is that women live in this fabricated reality where you're protected from it, whereas men and boys were not. And then once we go to tell you, because you've been daddy's little princess again, you want to fight the dude who's trying to teach you the reality of life. And then even worse, in some cases, we had females flip what we taught them on us as if,
oh, well, you're doing blah, 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 blah.
Like, yo, why would we teach you the game and then try to run it on you? Does that make sense, though?
But yeah, sisters don't want to know. What sisters want to learn about Black men, they learn from each other and white women. But when a Black man speaks, and then y'all be mad about outsiders' passports.
I started teaching a Black male course because it was needed. You know, I'm looking at these young brothers who were getting accepted, and a lot of them were, dropping out. A lot of them really didn't have any support structure on how to navigate college. So I created this class alongside a student group for Black males and began to implement that. And early on, what I found was I had more Black women than men, which, numerically is no surprise. That tends to be the case anyway, as far as the enrollment in school. My initial training in my doctorate was as a feminist. I hadn't dealt with gender prior to my doctorate. So I came in with that framework. The only way I knew how to deal with gender was through kind of what she taught me. So I'm teaching this Black male class using this approach I got in grad school. And I'm watching the numbers of Black males dwindle. I'm seeing the Black males in my class looking at the ground, just kind of disconnected. And I'm seeing the women more and more excited. And what I realized was that it was becoming a class where the young ladies were using me to finger wag at the men. So when I started to actually ask the men what their perspectives were, and I started to kind of change the narrative, and after a couple of years, I noticed the number of Black women dropped dramatically. The number of Black males started to increase. Within the next couple of years after that, I noticed I started to get this population of white women.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were there. And when I began to kind of ask them, in the hallways, under the, why are you taking this class? And I started to find, oh, well, my boyfriend is, and I want to understand him and his family, or, I'm trying to date some of the men on the basketball team or football team or whatever, but I don't understand them. So they were doing research. They're getting A's. It's a weird thing where I got to give A+ to white women in a class on Black males because they are handling all the homework assignments and reading everything to a T. They're asking me about the citations that were made by the author. I'm like, good Lord. But they were serious. And I would say, another 3 or 4 years after that, I noticed the population shifted from, white women to Latina. And the Latinas were coming in with the same kind of intensity, the same kind of questions, the same motivation.
You're literally telling me that you had a class that was dedicated to Black men, where Black women have an opportunity to study their men, understand what they're going through, understand how to relate to them better. And instead of us doing that, you have other women of other ethnic groups, other races going in, taking note, using that as ammo to get the quote unquote best men out there. Yeah. So it's like, how can you compete with that? This is based upon what you just said. It's like, this is why they are winning our men. If that is such a big complaint, this is why these other women, white women, Latinas, Asians, this is why they are winning or stealing, however you want to put it, our men, because they're actually interested in their interests.
That's why I'm not thinking anything. I mean, like, you won't think something like that. You won't think something like that. I don't understand how you gonna connect me.
REX